If I don't put the speaker playing it out loud, I might not let them tune in live. I don't know if they're going to be able to hear. I do this every time because they can't hear what's going on in my earphones, so they can hear me and not you right now. And I start the stream every time. They'll be able to hear. One second. Let me get up and get my speaker so I can play this so everybody can hear.
I trust you got it.
1 second. Uno momento, Facebook audience. 1 second. I'll be right back. All right. All the things I do to try to give you guys some consciousness uplifts. Don't want to keep them all to myself and Jennifer and the audience that will hear this a few weeks later. So if you guys are tuning in, just hit the share button as you are inspired. Let other people benefit. All right, we're ready. Bluetooth connected. Awesome. All right, let's do that again. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Enlightened Conversations. Excited for today, and we have an awesome guest with us. That it's already Monday where she is. She's over in Bali, beautiful, beautiful part of the world that I'm affirming is going to be a very big part of my life ongoing as things evolve with things that I'm creating right now. And we have Jennifer Capo with us, who I discovered on Facebook not too long ago. She was doing a beautiful event called Story and Sound, where she had awesome humans sharing their story, which I love her philosophy on story, and I'll let her share this in a second. But just knowing that our stories are what connects, it's a really great way for us to connect and feel the humanity of each other and all of these things. And she was incorporating that with awesome sound. And before that event, Jennifer, somebody had just mentioned the hand pan to me for the first time, and you had, I'm not going to think of his name off the top of my head, but I saw him playing the hand pan, and I was like, this sound is amazing. So really like what you're doing and excited to talk with you today. And so without further ado for me, I want to introduce you guys to Jennifer, and if you could share with the audience, because I know I didn't even mention your main job with the one giant mind meditation.
One giant mind.
Yeah, she is the director, the academy director of that. And I'm going to ask her to share with you who she is, what she does, why she does it, all these great things. So you guys meet Jennifer. Jennifer, meet everybody who's tuning in.
Hi, everyone. So good for you to be here. Thank you for your attention, especially during this time. I feel really honored to be here right now with Noelle and you, and I hope that I can bring something to the conversation that would just remind us that we're all strong and resilient. And so I'm Jennifer Capo. I actually work with One Giant Mind. It's a teacher training academy. We teach the world to meditate. I run the academy online, and I support teachers that want to come through and really become embodied leaders in that space. And I just get to watch them transform through the program, which is really exciting. And then I also have a passion project, being in media for a lot of my life. Behind the scenes, behind the camera, in front of the camera. And I created this project called Tune In, Story and Sound. And I create a platform and a stage for voices around the world to deliver inspiration through the power of story. And we'll talk more about that rather than have me just run on.
Awesome. No,
because I have no periods between my sentences. I've heard.
I'm a great listener, and at the same time, you're going to inspire me with everything that you share to also chime in. Reason I call this a conversation versus an interview, because I'm going to say things too as well throughout the whole thing. It will be a conversation I want to have with you anyway, and then we're going to share it with people. But let's talk about just initially, because I love that you are teaching people and helping people meditate, which is, if I could think of all the things that I've become aware of and learned in my life, it would be meditation would be up there with some of the most important things, for sure. Without it, I wouldn't be the human that you guys experience day to day. It's an important part of my day to day. Just to be able to be in the energy and the frequency and the vibration that I like to be in. Starting my day with it. And so I love what you're doing. I'm curious with everybody, when it comes to your journey, whether it be meditation or spiritual journey or whatever the case may be. Because I know all of us, Jennifer, come in as like unconditional loving little babies, and then for most, we forget for a period of time who we truly are, and maybe start comparing ourselves or questioning if we're enough or all of these things. Did you just go from unconditional loving little baby to like the evolved like human that we're talking to today, or did it happen a little bit differently for you?
Oh, well, look, I mean, I'm still evolving
All
every
of us are,
day,
for sure.
and a lot of that is the deprogramming of the early years. Um, so the meditation is really, I started doing meditation actually consistently. I was introduced to it so many times, and I really just hunkered down and decided to make it a daily practice when I started working with um, before I started working with One Giant Mind, and it really changed my life because I am a fiery, emotional, um, sometimes reacting kind of person, and let's just say sometimes. And to me, I was wanting to step back from that because it was running my life, and instead, I wanted to be responsive and meet people like where they're at and be relatable and not be reacting all the time. And so meditation really was a function of helping me to, you know, be able to kind of expand myself in a way where I could at least most of the time, pull away from those reactions and really see what's going on and respond. So, yeah, I evolved, a little bit, and I'm here and I'm doing the work. That's what we do. We do the work, and we teach other people to do the work so that they can actually have a better existence here. Yeah.
I love it. I'm going to point out a couple of things that Jennifer just highlighted, and one was so slight, but I caught it, that is so important, and it just shows where she is as far as being mindful of herself, being aware of what she has going on, and she was describing herself as she used adjectives like fiery, and then she inserted a very important word that I always like to insert whenever someone is labeling themselves or someone else. She said sometimes. And it's a beautiful word to remind ourselves of, because nobody is ever one way all the time. Like nobody is, labeled as a happy person or a depressed person or an anxious person. We like to label ourselves with all these different things, and it's always in the moment, because energy, in 2020 and beyond, can actually be measured in the moment, and it's really cool. Like maybe 20, 30 years ago, it might have sounded like out there when we're talking about energy and frequency and vibration, and even though it was just as real then as it is now, but now like, science is allowing us to be able to meditate. And what I've heard from you when it comes to your own personal meditation journey is it's the benefits that I heard you describe are very similar to the benefits that it's had on me, and it's just being able to to one, uncover blind spots that for me were really affecting my right now energy, being critical of myself, being critical of others. Like I uncovered that in meditation, and I have allowed myself to through my meditation practice to uncover things and to be able to put my energy, start in the day in a place where I like to be. And there's just been so many benefits. So I highly recommend everybody out there, if you've ever thought about being open to it. I was the one that maybe out there you might think that you're not a meditator, you can't meditate. I was that human for sure, and you can.
Yeah. Double on that.
You resonate with that?
Oh yeah. No, I mean, me sitting still was, I was on the go with my comfort place, on the go, and sitting still. And I had many coaches over the years, business and executive coaches, and people that were coaching me just in career stuff, that would ask me, okay, just sit still for 10 minutes. And I was like, the idea of sitting still to me meant like taking a time out or stopping. And today it means something different. Obviously, it means really like getting to sit with myself and connect with myself. And also just be in that space of noticing that expansion and like really noticing I'm not my thoughts, I'm not my emotions, and accepting those, and then accepting them as they come and letting them just happen without commenting on them. All those fun things, really. It's a different journey now. And I just look forward to it. I look forward to that daily, twice a day practice. And yeah. So
So you have twice a day as your
this is
practice.
pretty exciting. With that,
Twice a day is your practice. Morning and evening. Is that how you do
um,
it?
we encourage twice a day, 20 minutes a day. You know, because 6 to 8 hours apart, it kind of just brings out, well, look, in this life, when things, the way we're living today and the distractions that we have and the way we get caught up in different emotions and reactions and things around us, it's very easy to just kind of move away from that awareness very quickly. And this is just to sustain that place, that state of awareness and being is like really encouraged to do it twice a day, and it's a game changer. Yeah.
100%. Okay, now I'm very inspired to share this now, Jennifer, with the audience, and this will be very useful for you guys because the whole reason that I mean, I like to ask people for different reasons why they meditate, and Jennifer just explained like what if I asked her that question, like that was almost like Jeopardy. Like she said the answer, and like that would be the question, like why do you meditate? And she just explained it beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna ask myself the same question, and really for me, like I meditate, and my meditation goes as long. Sometimes it could be 10 minutes, sometimes 5, sometimes a half an hour, but I meditate until I feel connected with who I truly am. Call it the divine, God, universe, love, all that is, spirit, source, whatever you resonate with out there. Like we can feel that's who we all truly are. And that connection is one where you're connected with it, you can feel it, like you can hear awesome ideas and see awesome synchronicities. Like I always notice like the downloads, I call them, that pop into my mind during meditation, and that's how I know when I'm having a download, like something that I'm excited to maybe add to my to-do list today, like things that I'm doing. I know that I'm connected, and meditation could stop there. If I'm really enjoying it, I might allow it to keep going and see what other cool downloads the universe may have for me, in these moments. But that's my practice, and and the reason I bring that up is because once I'm in that connected energy, and my flow is like I wake up, use the bathroom, drink some water, and then that's like how I start the day because I want to feel that connection as early on as possible, so that for all of us, if we feel like the energy of being who we truly are early, then we're going to notice, not guarantee that you're going to stay in that energy all day, which is why it's cool what Jennifer mentioned, having multiple practices a day spaced out. Because what I'm noticing is the energy that I'm feeling when I'm connected. And then if I feel anxious or worried or frustrated, during the day, as a human, it's so noticeable because I was already feeling the connected energy right off the bat. So you're going to notice it if you're starting to feel momentum taking you in a different direction. And if that's important to you, which for me that's the most important thing, is my connection throughout as much of the day as humanly possible, if not all day. Because on the days where we are, we just say, well, I've been in a good mood all day today, it was a really good day for you. And on the days where you're like, damn, I've been really frustrated and worried and anxious all day today, it wasn't such a good day for you. You didn't really enjoy it that much. It was just more challenging. We've all had days like that. Nothing right or wrong with either. But that's the reason that personally I do it, and so that I can maintain, so I can feel that energy and see if I can live my life being who I am throughout the day.
I mean, meditation this is the beautiful thing, is that we're all on sort of this there's a relationship we have with meditation, and it obviously is something that's enlivening you and keeping you with that sort of level of, allowing you to have that level of awareness. For me, I really have been taking an interesting journey this year, especially. Meditation for me is really about accepting what is coming in. It's less about what's happening in the meditation, and it's more about what happens after in the eyes open experience. So I meditate, twice a day, but then I'll meditate for 15, 20 minutes. And whatever happens, whether it's gratifying or ungratifying in that meditation, where I see the effects are in my open eyes experience, my daily life. And what I've been noticing is in my meditation, I allow emotions, I allow thoughts just to come and go, because we practice a mantra-based sort of meditation. We oscillate between the mantra just subtly, and then, accepting thoughts, because they come and they're going to come when you're sitting down, and that's okay. We don't put a lot of commentary on them, but we just watch it. And that practice in my everyday open eyes experience of allowing emotions to come, not commenting, not narrating on it, but just allowing it to bubble up come through and release is what is the beautiful thing about meditation. It's really providing that clearing for me. And I feel like that is such a powerful journey and such a difficult journey because I'm in the world of stories. So I want to put a story on every emotion and everything that comes. I want to be like, it's because, and it is because of maybe something happens or maybe something I'm noticing that's in front of me that like could be from the past that brings up some sort of trigger. And that's okay. But I just getting caught up in taking the journey and like taking the ride of that story is potentially, that's where I've been pulling back from. It's like, okay, yeah, that I did experience that. That is a trigger from the past. I do feel like, and then I'm watching the emotion come up. Oh, there, I'm just having some tears. That's okay, and then I'm just let it go and then I release it. And that's been a really interesting journey for me. To be able to keep that place where we can see that come through, release it, and not get too caught up in take the journey of let that story take me for a ride, like it would have in the past. I lost my mother early on. I mean, I can tell you all the stories of reasons why I should take that journey. So that's been my last year has been a lot of that. And it's just really freeing. I haven't arrived. It's a practice every day. But that's kind of where I've taken my sort of, that's where meditation has taken me really as well.
I love that.
Finding that little space.
I love that.
It's just my own, it's my own interpretation and expression.
Well, what's beautiful about what you just described, Jennifer, and I love how you're giving yourself credit for evolving, and not even like we're like taking a test and like we're like answering to someone like you must advance to level 3. I'm not hearing that, but just like if we go on this journey and realize that it is a forever thing, like it's a forever practice, whatever is like, if we're consciously allowing ourselves to evolve. And we're open from new awareness coming from anyone, anytime, anywhere, any moment. We'll just allow ourselves to continue to evolve. And that's my encouragement. I've been encouraging people so much to just be open. Because if we think that we can only learn from school or we can only learn from, people that have a huge following on social media or whatever thinking that we have going on, you're just limiting the limitless. And I just encourage everybody to pay attention. And then when you find a practice like Jennifer has found, personal practice and she's seeing areas of her life evolving. What she described, being able to observe, emotions, but not be them, to not like let them overtake her, where, the story could be anything to where momentum would carry and that energy of, that emotion would not just be released, it would get stronger. And that's where you can have some really rough, parts of life. Nothing right or wrong with those, but just what she described as far as being able to be the observer versus like to be like letting the story live her, almost. And there's a beautiful transition to stories because, I like to say that life is all the stories that we tell. And so, I always like to encourage, us to share, if we're sharing stories about the past, which we all have a past. And I love what you're doing because it allows us to feel the humanity. And I've been, the last few years, been wanting to share more, openly, just anytime I have an opportunity, so that people aren't looking at like current version of Noel, where it's like, oh, you're happy all the time, even when there's crap going on in the world. Well, I remind them I'm human too. So I experience life and the challenging parts of life. Maybe there's things going on in humanity. And like, as I'm observing those things, like, yeah, I think all of us would agree that there's certain things that if we look at them, it's not going to be that easy to observe. However, I use that as, okay, this is what's going on. This is already manifested. The story, the world that I want to see is this. And then I put all my attention and energy on there, which from that place, like, we're very powerful and we are connected and we can have synchronicities come and thoughts and ideas and, all these things. So I love what you're doing with stories. And from the ones that I saw, because the thing that I always make sure, like, if anybody's ever telling a story around me about anything, and they're affirming something that is disempowering, I'll finish their sentence with "in the past," because sometimes people will tell past stories like it's a current event, but the only reason it's a current event is because they're still speaking it as truth, as this is what's ongoing. For instance, like if you're out there single and you want a relationship, all guys are this way, or all girls are this way, or all Geminis are this way. And if that's the story that you're wanting to perpetuate, and that's kind of seemed like a silly story, but I mean, we have silly like things that we affirm as this is truth, and it will continue to be truth for you if that's what you're choosing to affirm. So I guess the question is, when it comes to the stories that we tell, and like your inspiration to for people to be able to share in the space that you're creating. What was the inspiration, and what's your vision for it, and all these fun things?
Yeah, cool. Yeah. So, well, it's so funny because we're segueing from one of the things I really am passionate about is meditation, teaching meditation, and being and facilitating others to teach meditation. And then moving over to a big expression of who I am, which is really just creating a platform for other people to have a voice and also deliver inspiration through power of stories. And I've talked about this with my teacher, who is the founder of One Giant Mind, Johnny Pollard. I'm like, how am I going to combine meditation and stories? They seem to like not go together. And he's, because don't get caught up in your story, but then you get, and he really put it beautifully, and he helped me sort of understand how that expression is. Stories are important, and how we articulate and find our voice and our expression. But of course, like you said, seeing it as, like you said, just that is the path. That is, framing it is really nice. So what I've done is I have always, I created this side project called Story Station, and we started doing offering events, community events, bringing people together to share a personal story. Sounds fun, right? Okay. So I started this in Los Angeles, and I started it around a particular theme. So I was finding myself in Los Angeles with a very group of friends around the ocean, living near the ocean. And no one was talking to each other. I had surfers, and we had swimmers, and we had environmentalists, and we had volleyball people, and everybody was like, they were all separate and segregated, and they had their own opinions and beliefs. And I felt that I wanted to bring all these people together, and I thought their common love for the ocean would be something that I could actually bring a group of these people together to share. So I asked, I created an event, and this became the format for all the events I'm doing now. And it was share a personal story, and this was just around the ocean. This was a series called Life Aquatic Around the Ocean, a story about being in the ocean and something that happened to you in the ocean and so forth. And we're going to do it one night, and we're going to all share these personal stories. And what came about was incredible, connection amongst strangers and people that normally didn't talk together because they shared this common love. And stories of, someone that got paralyzed when they were swimming, and someone that, had to save somebody in the ocean, and then a shipwreck, and all these really beautiful stories. But what I found is we connected through this common theme of loving the ocean. So every time I go into a community, whether it's entrepreneurs, digital nomads, I find this connecting point. And then I bring together the community of people to share stories. And this story is really just a connecting point that people can actually relate to, and then start to see each other, whatever the diversity, it just starts to fade. And we start to see each other as humans, and we start to feel for whatever that experience is, and by listening to that story, and we start to all the prejudices go away for that moment in time, and you see the heart, you see the struggle, you see whatever it is, and that is what also creates the magic of that connection, is that we see each other as the same. We go through the same experiences, we have heartbreak, we have So anyway, this was like the whole impetus of that storytelling was to create community and connection between people that normally wouldn't talk. So that was like how it all began, really, is wanting to have that experience. Um, yeah. So
It fascinates me, Jennifer, that, and you're doing such good work when it comes to, because it fascinates me that every human being, and I know it's not this way, I kind of say this silly, but it fascinates me that every single human being can't talk to every other human being, because if you're meeting them for the first time, they've lived all this life. Say they're 35 years old, say they're 40, whatever. They've lived 40 years of life. They have stories for days about so many different things, so many life experiences, and so do you. Like, I've never met a human being that I haven't been able to have a conversation with, because I'm so curious about who is this person that 30 seconds ago I didn't even know existed. Like, you guys ever think about that out there? Like, whenever you're talking to somebody brand new, like, I didn't even know Jennifer existed on the planet a month ago. And she lived all this life, not too much life. I'm sure I've lived more life than her. I'm probably older than you. But, we've lived all this life, and we don't even know each other exists. And then when we are face to face or online or whatever the medium may be, like, I'm just fascinated. Like, I could have conversations with people for days. So I love what you're doing, because I guess it just over my head that people don't feel, and I know everybody's not like that, but for you to describe what you described, where people weren't talking to each other and then were, like, that's awesome. Like, because I want everybody to be able to feel that comfort with each other, because we are all the same, just different avatars of the same energy.
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting time, especially right now. I'm not sure where I want to go with this, but maybe I would love
Oh,
to.
you go anywhere. You go anywhere. You can go anywhere you want. And I already kind of know where you're going.
Let me kind of share a little bit about what I'm thinking right now in terms of the storytelling, and I'm just going to tell you, like, as a brainstorm, and I'm just want to hear your input. So because what I know how to do is create a stage for other people's voices and then help them craft the story. During this whole COVID time, backing up about 2 months ago, when everybody was in isolation, I felt like this is the time where we really need to be connected and share. So I created this sort of platform, tune in story and sound event, so I can bring musicians, because that's the heartstrings. Music is such a heartstring for me, and then stories, and really around what I wanted to capture and the sentiment of what's happening in the world, kind of like a face on it, personal stories of what's happening. Not the exact incident of happening, but like there was a lot of first times that we were experiencing in May and April and May, for the plane. If you look at the sky, there's no planes in the sky. There's restaurants are shut down. Like, lockdown is like a phenomenon that this actually happened. And the world grounded. Like, there was no going out of your house. Well, there was, but. And so I asked people just to tell stories of first time experiences, whether it was a first kiss or whether it was the first time they held their baby, whatever it was. I wanted them to tell a first time and share a story to help others sort of remember and remind us that we're going to get through this. Just to give inspiration and knit like positive vibes. So people came to the table and told first times of all kinds of things. But it was really hugely emotional because people were in this raw state of isolation and not feeling connected. So I captured a collection of like 25 storytellers really in this state, but sharing a first time, and it was really beautiful. And then we move over to the next month, and there's a bubbling up of discrimination that's been going on for so long with Black Lives Matter. That this eruption of, we're coming out of COVID, and then this, all of us are starting to feel like we've really gone inside, and there's this something that needs to come out. Like, this movement needs a voice. it needs legs to stand on. And it's important. It's an important time. And I'm like, how am I going to capture this sentiment? And how am I going to give a platform for this? You know? And I thought, okay, well, let's have stories of navigating change or creating change to make it more empowering. And so in doing so, I'm able to capture, you know, just the platform is stories of creating change. So what I'm doing is really just taking the sentiment of what's happening. But I've been at a bit of a loss because I don't know what it's like to be a Black person in America or in the world, anywhere. And I'm now feeling I need to really learn and listen. How am I going to give people a voice to share and still create that inspiration? So I've been a bit stumbled. I've been a little bit like, I'm not sure. And so I'd be interested to hear your input on how I could actually create that bridge a little bit stronger. I mean, I've bringing storytellers of all diversities around the world, from India to America to South Africa, to really share these stories, but there's something else I could do.
Yep.
You're creative.
This is easy. This is why I love these conversations, because they could go anywhere, and I didn't know that we were gonna go here, and it's so much fun. Like, I'm one of the best on the planet to share about this topic for many reasons, because I've seen and experienced life like in all like. So I'm from Oakland, California. And my parents don't even know this, but when I was 10, 11 years old, like, I'd be in the projects, like, just because I had friends there. There were girls there that I liked. Like, I was just, from the time I was 10, like, I mentally, like, I felt like I was grown. And my parents got divorced. They couldn't, like, track me with cell phones or anything back then. It was just like, you know, I was living life. Now, how I had this, like, vision of being a professional athlete, so I never went too far to where I got myself in any, like, real trouble. But then also, I'm very thankful now that my mom cared enough to, even though I didn't want any part of this, she drove me and my sister 25 minutes to another school district so that I could go to, you know, a better school where the majority was white. And, you know, I got really good education and all these things. And then when I played sports, like, it was always in the inner city. So all Black, you know, and, you know, just a few other, you know, races sprinkled in. So I've seen the world from both ends of the spectrum my whole life. Like, it's all I know. So I've always been able to interact with people everywhere. And when it comes to just specifically what you're describing with the stories, because I'm all for stories. I always personally, if I'm ever going to be around someone telling a story, my follow-up question after they're done telling the story would be, especially if they're telling a story of hardship or challenge or, you know, injustice or whatever it is, my follow-up question would be, what is it that you would like to see in this planet? And this is the challenge that I'm seeing right now with a lot of the different movements that are going on and protests and all of these things, is we're spending more attention focusing on what is wrong and what we don't like, not realizing that all the things that we're pointing out, these things have already been manifested. I've never met a human being, and you guys, I'm still waiting for somebody to come into my inbox because I've been asking this question for months. Have you guys ever met a human being that could take something that is already manifested and unmanifest it, demanifest it? Never met that human. Our only option as a human being, all the same, different physical avatars, have the same energy flowing through us. All of our only option is to create new, what it is that we would like to see. Whether that's, you know, this chair that I'm sitting in. At one point, there was no chairs on the planet, and a human being had to say, it'd be nice to not sit on the ground or that big rock over there and be able to sit around with my family. And so energy went on to chair. So when it comes to equality and, you know, us wanting to live in a world where we're loving each other and we're all connected and we're all one, and that's not just a cliche that we use, then it takes us having the attention and energy, and one person can make such an impact. And so, like, all that I do is I see what's going on, I experience it, and then I ask myself, what is it that I would like to see? And I put all of my attention, 100% of my attention on that, and create what I want to see in the world. Because, you know, regardless of what you believe happens after we leave these physical avatars, you know, it's a different conversation. I've never also met someone that said there was another Noel walking around, or another Jennifer, or another you out there walking around at another point in human history. So even if your energy was, you know, here before, it was still housed in a different physical avatar. So this one that you're in now, this shell that you're in right now, you're going to get one time to experience life in this. So my advice to everybody out there is, if you want to share the story, because the stories are valuable, because some people don't know what's going on. So they're not asking what they would like to see because they haven't experienced the life experience that you have. So your life experience is valuable so that someone can it's happening right now. And it's awesome in this way that the more people are seeing maybe some of the challenges that, Black people have gone through over the years, over a long period of time, it's coming into their awareness now. So now there's people asking, well, no, forget this. I want to live in a world where we're all like loving each other. And so now people can start moving in that direction. But the people out there that are choosing to say, oh my gosh, that's terrible, and want to fight it, if you want to fight anything, you're just creating more energy of that energy. So there's no fighting against anything. All there is in this world is creation. And the world is always going to evolve and expand, whether it is that we're creating more expansion of what we don't like, or creating more expansion of what it is that we do like and what we do want to see. And so that's our option. Like, see the story, tell the story, inspire people with the story. And then my advice is, then the next sentence, speak about what it is that you would like to see. Because now we can say, ooh, like you got our energy going here with your story. Like, wow, that's terrible. Like, that's rough. And then when you inspire us by saying, however, this is what I'm focused on now, this is what I'm creating, this is what I would like to see in the world. Now we can get behind that and we can put our attention and energy on that. And then the world can change dramatically. So that's why I am the way that I am. When people say, why are you happy? Because I'm focusing on what I want to see in the world, not what I don't want to see.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that. Number one. Number two, if there is a number two, I really believe that there is a part of a process that's happening, in even like waking up to what I'm seeing, especially because there's so many meditation teachers I'm in touch with, and they're teaching people, and their students are coming and experiencing things. Is what we're seeing is there are people that are looking around for the first time at the way that their life has been structured, what they've allowed to permitted to happen, the way that the direction they've been, going. And since all of the quietness and stillness of the isolation happened, a lot of people are actually waking up and looking around for the first time at, like, how have I allowed this to go on? How have I, and there's an eruption. There's just like our emotions sort of bubble up from the bottom of the ocean, up, up, up. It's happening, and there's the part of a healing in allowing that release. And I do think that we'll see a release of that, but I also think there's this big need to acknowledge. And I'm okay I'm just looking for I'm just sitting back and just like, okay, like let it erupt, that's how I feel. It's like, let the healing of that happen. And then what do we do with this now? I think that's where we're kind of looking at, what do we do with this, And back to the story. The storytelling, what I've asked people to do with the stories is to start with a message. This is the format. Can you hear me, by the way?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Start with a message that you want to share that reminds us. I feel people need to be reminded that we're, capable, creative, resilient humans. And then map a story that you can share that around something that's changed or experiencing change in your life, where you've had to kind of create that change. And then that's how we find the stories. We start with a message. And so the idea is to continue to deliver this sort of inspiration and message for those that really need to hear it wherever they are in their lives right now. And it's also giving people and storytellers the opportunity to reflect a bit and put things together in a way that maybe they hadn't done before. And so the healing is done on both sides. People listening, people telling and sharing. And I like what you've shared, and I will take that to heart as well. If you don't mind, I might incorporate that into the
I highly recommend you
plan.
do. Let me share one thing real quick, Jennifer. That I wanna put a red bow on everything we were just talking about a second ago for everybody, because
Yeah,
this is how life
yeah,
works. Like there's only a small, and they've done science and studies on all this, but there's only a small percentage of the population that they call like early adopters, like the leaders, like the dum dums like Noel who were standing in line at 3 a.m. for the first iPhone. Like, why were you doing that when you could walk in the store the next day and get it off the shelf? Well, just because I wanted to go get it. I saw where smartphones, I saw where the world was going, and I was like, yeah, I'm all for that. And so here's what happened with, I'll just use smartphones as an example. There was a percentage of the population that were like, that's silly. Like, what do we need a smartphone for? Like, my phone makes calls, makes texts. In fact, I still have the long cordless phone in my house that where I can walk around the whole house. I don't even need this cell phone thing. So there are people that were holding on to all these things like as long as they could. And then what happened over the last, 10 years, 15 years is you sound pretty silly getting in front of a group of people now and saying, I just don't understand like the point of these smartphones. People will look at you like I would choose my smartphone some days over my kids. Some people out there, and that's an extreme example, but you would sound silly right now questioning like why we have smartphones, because we use them for so many things in our lives. And so all that it takes for anything to shift, and because not everybody out there is going to lead a movement of anything, but there are people out there that are focusing solely on what it is they would like to see in the world, whatever that looks like to them. And as they continue to move forward towards that, more people will say, "Oh, I like that. Like, I want to participate in that. I want to come along for that." Till it gets to the point where it will sound pretty silly down the road, and it doesn't have to be that long from now, where you're still being racist or being anything that just will seem strange. Like people will say, like, "Who's this weirdo?" It's like you're speaking out against smartphones today. So the great news for all of us is because there's so much attention on the challenge, and there's so many people that are
yeah,
coming together creating what it is that they want to see, and that'll happen more and more and more. As long as I'm breathing, I'm going to do my part, because Jennifer, I see the world as so much simpler than we make it. Like, you just tell me if there's anything out there, you guys, that you see that we need to have a fun, fulfilling, full life, other than first, most
yeah,
importantly, the consciousness of who and what we all truly are. Like when we stop having the illusion of separation, which is the biggest illusion that exists, on the planet, is that we're all 7.7 different. We're just different avatars housing the same energy. Like it's just literally under a high-powered microscope, we all look the same. So, once that illusion of separation goes away and we know who we truly are, we know that the same power that some out there like to call God, some out there like to call whatever you like to call it, that is who we truly are. We're just different fractals. We're just different little expressions of that. Now you can be super confident that there's any other humans out there that are doing anything awesome. Like, oh, that's awesome. I'm inspired to go do this awesome thing that I want to see during my life experiences now. And you can also be super humble knowing that since we're not different, you're not any better or worse than anyone else. So the confidence and the humbleness. And then from there, it's just a matter of like, let's actually help each other create the abundance where we have time and money and resources and connections, and we actually live the lives that we want to live. And we have consciousness and abundance of everything that matters to us. What else is there? I mean, it to me, it's just silly that right now anybody, and it's just because we're not aware yet, because we don't have a choice when we're not aware. And so that's all I ever try to do is give people awareness. Now the choice is yours. You won't hear me say you should do anything. Do what you want, but I just want people to be aware. I just went on a tangent. Nothing to
Well, I
do with what we're
mean,
saying.
your journey obviously didn't start at this place.
No.
And so, and I see it, everybody's sort of where they are in that. By the way, I got the visual on like how you see the lens of the way you see people in the world. And I got it, like you could actually draw that out. I totally thank you for being so visual on that. Like just we're all little bits of energy of the same thing. I'm the universal, really. So, but we also, like, everybody is in a different place in this path to understanding. And maybe, I wish we had a brunch or something where we could, or we were sitting at the park so we could just really kind of go on this podcast. Because I really now have like all these questions for you. So
They could bring up anything that you
like
want right now. Don't hold anything in.
Your journey.
Oh,
we won't.
well, yeah. I mean, that's.
I mean, it's like where you just to remember. Like all we're doing is remembering. Like where were we? Where are we now? Where do we? How was our journey of being able to have this discussion? Maybe we wouldn't have been able to have this discussion, you and I, 10 years ago. I mean, I did believe life was sacred, and I did believe in a lot of important principles that actually led me to this path of expanding this sort of led me to this path of meditation and awareness. But take you 10 years ago and me 10 years ago, and let's just sit at the beach and have a conversation. I mean, that would be a very interesting and different conversation. So we have to remember, everybody needs to remember, whoever's listening, to be relatable to that younger version or a different version of ourselves, because everybody's in a different space, in a different place. And being relatable is so important. So I know that your audience here they're probably used to, and they're probably the language is really comfortable. But take us outside of this environment, and how would we be relatable? Will people understand? So how do you bring the message, your message, to somebody that was maybe your 10 years ago version, or a kid coming out of high school that's just still his awareness is still his orbit around him. How do you actually say what you're saying and bring it to that person?
Easy. So
this is the world we live in.
It was simple. But see, on the individual level, for all of you guys out there, and this is why I am very firm when I speak this to other human beings, you have to be open. You have to be open for new awareness, new consciousness to show up in your life anytime, anywhere, from anyone, at any moment. If you're closed, if you're not ready for it, then you're just going to live the same version of life that you're already living. So the reason that I sound the way that I sound and I speak the way that I speak now versus 10 years ago or even a year ago or 5 years ago or whatever, is because I've remained open. Like, I've never thought that I know it all. Like, I'm always open for the next thing to come. Like, I have downloads come from me from meditation, and I apply them in my life immediately. Like, I'm not everything in life. I'll just affirm this for you guys. This would be very simple for anybody out there. If you haven't heard me say this, just take this. You can take this to the bank. All there is in this world is there's universal truth. Everything else is possibility. So if you hear something for the first time and you're like, I don't know if I'm resonating with that, that's cool. You don't have to take it with you that day, but just know that it's possible. There's possibility there. And whether that will serve you down the road or right in that moment, it doesn't matter. But I don't take anything as, like, people don't tell me things and I'm just like, no, that can't be true. I'm not fighting against anyone. Like, it's possible. Like, if that's true for them, then law of polarity says that everything is two poles. So everything is really just a half truth. So because if it's true for you, then it's true for you. And if it's true for me, then it's true for me. That's my life experience. That's why stories are so powerful. So for me, it's just a matter of just remaining open. And for those, that's why I get so excited for people. And all that I care about, Jennifer, is that the light bulb can come on. Because we all knew all these things when we were little unconditional loving little babies. If you look at a little baby being pushed in a stroller, they're just super present. They're smiling. They're just a little ball of unconditional love. We forget along the way, but when the light bulb comes back on to where we're like, whoa, there's more going on than I thought here. Now it's a forever journey. Like, it will never end. Like, we can become aware of universal truths every second for the next 100 years, and we'll still just know a fraction of a fraction of a fraction. Great news is we don't need to know it all in order to have a joyful life experience in this moment or to create what it is that we want to create while we're here. If we're open, like, what we need, this is what I love knowing, is that I can ask the universe, can ask God any question, and the answer might not come in that split second, but it's coming. And when it will come is typically when I am at peace or I'm enjoying life. Maybe I could be doing anything, but it's when I'm connected with that source that the source can speak to me and I can hear the answer in whatever way, shape, or form, through lips of another person, through a book, through a podcast. We have so many ways. Like, we have an unlimited brain in our pocket. Sometimes the answer might just be Google this, and then all of a sudden you're on the path. So we overcomplicate it. But for those of you out there, if you're closed off to possibility, life is not going to change much for you for right now. But if you're open to possibility, things can change, and they always will change forever. And you can consciously allow yourself to change with it, and life can just be an adventure. You don't have to figure out how, when, where, who, all these details that make us anxious. You can just say, okay, this is what I want to see on the movie screen called my life. I'm the star. And now let me get back to controlling. The only thing I can control is what version of me am I going to bring to this scene that I'm in, and then allow synchronicities to fill in, because they're going to fill in anyways. We can't predict any of this stuff that's happening. We try to, but we can't predict it.
I mean, that's something I really appreciate about you, actually, watching, watching all your shout outs is I do feel like you emanate, or you emit that positivity, and you live it and embody it. So thank you for doing that. I think we need more embodied leaders in the world today, and that's what we do as well with the meditation teaching, teacher training. And I think giving people a voice to tell stories, they actually step up and feel they make a difference and create inspiration, and it puts them in that leadership position to then begin to really start to express and find that voice. And so I'm all about all of it.
Me too.
Really, thank you.
It's awesome what you're doing, Jennifer. And let me just point out what Jennifer just did is, I appreciate the kind words that you just shared with me. And as you know, we're just mirrors to each other. So what Jennifer is recognizing in me, she can only recognize in me because it's there, present in herself. So just keep that in mind, everybody out there, when we're pointing out, or we're judging or blaming or condemning someone out there. Anytime you're pointing a finger at someone, whether you're saying you're awesome or you suck, just know that your energy is there too. Like that's you at the same time. So I always, I appreciate people being able to see in me what is obviously present in you, because you're, this matters to you. Like you care about like seeing, people be able to live, to live their lives. You want people to see them live awesome lives. Like, and that's why I root for everybody, because once you realize that, we're all connected, we're all one is not cliche, but it's just truth. Then why wouldn't I want to see Jennifer thrive? And if I can help with her vision, which is just going to make the world as a whole more fun for all of us to live in. And that goes for all of you guys out there with whatever it is that you want to see in the world. If we can help each other create the visions that we individually have and collectively participate in whatever way that we can, it just makes a more awesome world for all of us to experience. So why wouldn't I root for every single one of you guys out there and want to participate with all of you guys? So I appreciate you affirming all those things. This is our first co-creation, and there'll be more. I have plenty of things that I can talk with you about and share stories, and I've made it a point to try to give people an insight to the parts of Noel that, before I discovered all this stuff, like the reason why I am the way that I am. But I will just say, and this is why stories are so beautiful, if it weren't for all these stories that we have, if it weren't for all the challenging parts of our life, all these things that we might say, if we can go back and like eliminate those things, like we would. But if we did that, and if we didn't have all those elements of our life, we just wouldn't be the human that we are today, because we wouldn't have the clarity that we have today. The only reason any of us know what we like and don't like, what we desire and don't desire, the only reason is because of all the life experiences that we've had up until this moment. It's why you're as clear on life as you are today. Great news for all of us. If you're out there, you're like, I'm still kind of confused. Like, I don't really know exactly what I want. Great news is live more life, and you're going to get more clarity the more life experiences that you have from here. That's why life experiences are all serving you. You can actually really appreciate all of them. And so the reason I am the way that I am now is because I saw what life looked like when I wasn't appreciating the present moment, when I didn't know who I truly was, when I was thinking about the future and I'll be happy when I have this, or I'm successful this way, or whatever the case may be. That was a miserable part of life. Like it led to a lot of depression, a roller coaster. You would call me a moody person. Like people weren't complimenting me on, Noel, your energy is like awesome. That wasn't the compliment that I was getting. It was, damn, I'm happy you're in a good mood today, because like last time I was hanging out with you, like you were just off. Like it was just different. So we're all evolving, and again, if we can be open to the evolution and consciously do it on purpose, it can be fun. Like it doesn't have to be so tough that we make it harder than it has to be.
Thanks for sharing that too, because I do think it's important for people to. I know a lot of people that wanted to and needed to hear something like what you just said. So thanks. Thank you. for doing that.
For sure.
It's so cool.
We all have it. It's life. Last thing I'll share, because I'll just keep being inspired to
Yeah.
share other things. Like what gives me the most peace, like just to know that, and just if this resonates with you out there, take it with you. If it doesn't, you can leave it here and just have it be a seed planted. But once I really discovered that this energy that is being housed inside of this physical avatar that you call mine, Noel, you call yours, Jennifer, you call yours, whatever you call yours out there. Once I realized that this energy was eternal energy, that it was going to continue being existing long after it leaves this physical avatar, whatever it goes to do after this, we can leave that open for possibility. Like, it doesn't really matter to me what this energy goes to do after it leaves this physical avatar. All that matters to me is that it will still exist. And if you want any proof of that, there's people on this planet that their number one passion, they're called mediums, is connecting people with people that have left their physical avatar and gone to experience life in another dimension. And you can connect with them. Like, these people exist right now. So that is enough, like, proof for me. And that was, I mean, I didn't need that proof, but that confirmed it even more. But just that peace that gives, where it's just like, wow, I mean, okay, I'm in this physical avatar right now. Like, I'm alive now. I mean, tomorrow's not promised. I mean, we're all listening to this going to live to be 200 years old, I'm sure. But just in case we don't, we're alive right now. So what can we bring to this scene of the movie now? And it might not be your most blissful scene ever, but it also doesn't have to be like the most like horrendous scene where it's like you're watching in the movie, be like, oh my gosh, like I just hope this character, just hope they make it out of this. Like this, are they even going to make it through this scene? And that's sometimes our life. So it doesn't have to be that. Like we could be somewhere in between. You know.
That's good. I mean, once again, visual on that.
It's true. I mean, it's true. So just have peace out there, knowing that. Would we take life so serious if we knew that we were eternal? Like, if you know that once you're done with this physical avatar, you're just going to keep living, would you take it so serious? Maybe, maybe not. I don't take life that serious. Like, I want to see what I want to see. I want to enjoy. I want to meet awesome people like Jennifer and like you guys out there. But what's so serious? I mean, we take things very seriously, which makes it, I mean, if I didn't know my energy was eternal and I thought this was it, then yeah, I'd probably take it real serious too. But because like I know that this is just like the scene that we're in, and I'm just going to see how much fun it can be. So it's a different way to live. Not saying you should or shouldn't out there, but just.
Yeah, I absolutely love what you're saying. And I'm reminding myself constantly when I'm overwhelmed in projects, am I having joy in this process? Am I, just keep remembering it's like right here is what I have, this moment. Let's make it joyful. So I have another conversation at some point and learn some more. But I can do that through listening to other conversations you've had with people. So I will tune in. I really appreciate that.
You're awesome.
I think we're up. I think we're almost up on time.
That's Jennifer's way of saying, like, I have to get out of here and go do some things in my life today on Monday. Don't let her fool you. Don't let it seem like it was Noelle cutting her short. I'm just kidding. No, I love it. No,
I mean, I'm just respectful of like your time and other people's time, and yeah, like you're getting ready to go to sleep. I'm not going to
sleep anytime soon. I'm looking at. So before we met, I was living an example of what I described to you. Before I came in here, I was outside at the beach, and I met an awesome human, which I tend to do because I'm open to it. And we were talking for like an hour just about life and like all sorts of things. And so I may see life is just. I just want everybody out there just to enjoy themselves. So you're not required to.
What you're doing.
We're gonna always expand. The joyful part is optional out there. So choose for yourself. But we're gonna expand either way because we're gonna live more life, which will cause the expansion. The joyful part of life is always optional. So choose what you like out there. So I love it. I appreciate you, Jennifer. This is so much fun. And you guys follow Jennifer on social media, on Facebook, and you can see her story and sound. You have an event coming up in a couple days. Yeah?
It's next week. It's coming up this weekend. We're broadcasting from Bali. We'll have an opening ceremony with Cello who's a beautiful cellist player, and we'll be broadcasting in Los Angeles, New York time, Florida time. So we're going to actually hold our opening ceremonies at 8 a.m. here in Bali so that we can include our storytellers and people from around the world at 5 p.m. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Los Angeles, New York would be 8 p.m. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yeah, we just really want to bring voices from around the world to create a wider perspective and kind of break down the walls of, just to remind us that we're all in this together.
I love it. I'm going to promote this. I'll get the information from Jennifer, and I'll promote it so more people can know about it. Because I value
storyteller.
Yeah, I'm always down to run my mouth if you haven't noticed. So
yeah, okay. Well, I might make you a storyteller.
I'm the easiest person to collaborate with because I value collaboration so much. So that is my story about collaboration. It's very easy to get a yes for me because I just see it as synchronicity, and if it's going to impact one human, it was worth it for me to share, and it'll be fun for me to do anyways because I'm not studying anything. I'm just like flowing out whatever flows out. So it's all good.
So you're in.
Let me know. Let me know.
All right.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you.
I just want to thank everybody. Yeah, I want to thank everybody for listening and giving me your time. Really, thank you so much. I know it's valuable. And yeah, I really enjoyed being able to know that you're out there. And thank you. Thank you so much.
You're awesome, Jennifer. Thank you for guiding the conversation where you did. I don't guide these things. Like you guided it to where it went, and so the insights that were shared from both of us was strictly because you chose to guide it in this direction, and the universe guided it in the direction that it needed to go, and we flowed out what was meant to flow out. So I really appreciate you. It was fun playing with you for this last hour, and look forward to future co-creation, whatever capacity that may be.
Yeah, thanks so much. All right. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. Have a wonderful day wherever you are in the world, and I'll talk to you soon.
Well, don't close off yet. I wanted your voice here. You guys share this. I'll talk to you soon. Review this. Say Jennifer is an awesome human on iTunes and all these things, and I'll screenshot it and send to her. She'll appreciate that, and we'll tune in for you guys on another episode. Bye for now.
Thank you.
All right, Jennifer. You're awesome. You have to go right now. I can tell. You have something going.